Hi, and thank you so much for taking the time sitting down with me to talk about your new album. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's not a glorious day outside, but luckily I'm staying inside, so I'm feeling fine, thank you.
Yeah, it's been great out here all day as well. Is it also dark season now in Sweden?
Yeah, it is. It's getting dark around 3, and I think it started to snow today. I'm not sure, but I think so. I'm avoiding outside, even the windows. So
Well, you're releasing your very first Christmas album in a month, and since the season is dark, I guess it's getting very appropriate nowadays. How are you feeling about the upcoming release?
well, to quote Borat, very excited. I'm very, very excited about it because I always wanted to release a Christmas album because I love Christmas so much. Really, it's like on the day after Christmas, in my family we start planning for the Christmas. Really, uh, so Christmas. It's so much about joy, happiness, freedom, all of this. You feel it all around uh, when it comes to Christmas. And this kind of feeling I really want to bring into power metal, which is very easy since power metal is also called happy metal. Happy metal and Christmas metal works fine together. So now when this finally happens, I'm very, very excited about it. So
Where does this fascination with Christmas come from? Do you think it's a cultural thing or is it just because of your family?
I think it's both because I've been to other countries in Europe where Christmas isn't as special as it is here in Sweden. I mean, of course, Christmas is special everywhere. Maybe not everywhere in every country, depending on location and religion and culture. But in Sweden, I mean, it's been like after Halloween, they take away the Halloween stuff and they put out the tiny Santa Claus figurines and everything. So it's like for 2 months you can go and start buying Christmas stuff. Everywhere now in Sweden they're starting to putting up stars. We put up a star. I don't know if you can see it, but up there it's a Christmas star. We put it up last night.
Okay,
So
I see
Christmas
something
starts.
glowing, so
I'm sorry.
I see something glowing at least, but I'm not sure if that. Ah, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. Also in our family, we're a typical, traditional Swedish Christmas family. We do the same things every year, and that is just a great feeling to know that when Christmas comes, everything will be as it always has been. If it's been a dark year, well, we can always count on Christmas. Put everything aside, turn off your phones, just focus on your family or friends or whoever you're with. Do the things that you always do. Christmas it's something you know what to expect, and you can expect a great time, really, to feel good.
Well, without getting too much, talking too much about the world situation right now, but I think a lot of people might not celebrate Christmas as they were used to because of the whole pandemic situation. But was that at all like an important factor for you to release this Christmas album so that you can give fans something nostalgic, even though they might not be able to celebrate it in the same way?
Yes, that is actually one of the reasons why we're doing this, because we want to give something back. We released, I mean, of course, we have had followers, fans, since the Rainseed time. Then we changed name to Majestica, and things just got, for us, a new record label and fans. Uh, I mean, 1 million views within a year, and that's huge for us since it's our first album as Majestica. We want to give something back. So instead of giving them a second Majestic album, we're giving them a special album. So this is not really our second album. It's an album in between. So maybe next year we will release album number 2.
Mhm.
And we want to do something special because I know Christmas is a special time for many people, and many people cannot celebrate Christmas, as you said. in the way that they used to do it. I won't be able to do that. I cannot go and visit my family now because of this. So I'm staying. I'm still gonna have a fantastic Christmas, of course, but it will not be like it has always been. Mostly because of Corona, and who knows, it might even change the day before Christmas. Someone can say, I'm feeling bad. Well, then we cancel it. So with that said, being able to give something to people is also a great feeling. But also, I think people deserve something nice this year. And if people consider a epic symphonic power metal musical Christmas album to be something nice, well, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's what we can do to contribute to this awful year.
So the album is based on the story of A Christmas Carol, originally by Charles Dickens. For me personally, it's actually one of my favorite classic like Christmas stories, I guess. And I also really liked the Disney rendition. I grew up with it, kind of. It was like a standard Christmas movie. But what sorts of memories do you have related to the story? And why did you choose it?
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. The last part.
Oh, why did you choose it over any other Christmas story?
Well, my first encounter with the story was with the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray from 1988. I grew up with watching that movie, and then when I was in, of course, I saw the Muppets Christmas Carol, a Muppet Christmas Carol, and that one is nice too, of course, but it's more of a comedy. Then when I was 17 years old and I was in high school, we did this play in front of an entire school, a musical version of A Christmas Carol, and I played Ebenezer Scrooge. Except that one time when I played a transvestite, me and a guy, we switched places. One night he played Scrooge, I played transvestite, and so on. But I was the one who most of the times I played Scrooge, and it's a funny thing. But anyway, so when I played Scrooge, I really got to know the character and understand why everything happens to Scrooge, and I got dug so deep, how to say, into the story, and I started to watch all these movies I could find, and I found this story so interesting, and then go out on stage and play this character that I now have newly discovered again. I don't know, it really spoke to me. Really, it's like whatever happens, you always get a second chance. And life has given me many second chances. Even with Sabaton, I turned them down once. And then 4 years later, they called me back. So I got a second chance. And this is exactly what Scrooge gets. He gets a call from Per Sundström one more time. But instead of Per Sundström, it's the ghost of Marley. But anyway, so when we decided to do a Christmas album, it felt natural to me that if we're going to have a theme, Christmas Carol is just what we're going to do. It's no question about it.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that you mentioned that you played in a musical about it, because I wrote down that I feel that there is kind of a musical vibe to it, or like a soundtrack, and that the story is like the most important aspect that comes first, Was that important for you and intentional at all?
Yes, it was intentional to do this as a musical version. So I'm very happy that you're telling me that you feel like you feel the musical vibes to it, because we thought we started off as me narrating the story, but then I realized that it would be more fun if I would be Scrooge singing what's happening to me. Then we can bring in voice actors and other singers, and then why not make it like into a musical? So it sounds like musical, and if we do this live, we can maybe one day do this as a real musical, but with power metal. Maybe bring power metal into people's homes. And yeah, so when we decided after a couple of songs, okay, we're turning this into a musical, I started to make write the music based on, you know, what's happening in the story. So you can really feel in the music that something bad is happening, something happy is happening, something dark is happening. And that was my intention all the way. So I'm very happy that you say that you feel like it's a musical, because that's the point. That's the plan.
Hey, that's great. Yeah, it would be actually really interesting to, one day maybe see it as a musical. I think it would be really cool.
It would be cool. Who knows? Maybe we have already done that.
Yeah. Speaking of like rock operas and musicals, are there any that you took inspiration from that you watched during the whole process, or did you just watch the movies again and then started writing?
Yes. I watched the movies and I took notes. The Jim Carrey version from 2009, I've seen that 7 times this year, including 2 times. And at 2 occasions, I actually had a notebook writing down, certain lines you need to say. Since this story was written a long time ago, it's public domain, so I will not get sued if I'm using actual lines from the novel. So it was, important things like, tell me, why do you doubt your senses? And the spirits have done it all in one night. Come take my robe. Important sentences from the story. And it's like a second time I watched it, it was like, oh yeah, shit. When Marley comes, he needs chains because he's covered in chains. So we need to add that. So I wrote the chains. And then he said something about his first love, Belle. Oh, Belle, I need to have that in the story as well. So, yeah.
So in terms of writing this album, I presume maybe the process was a little bit different than when you just write a normal power metal album, or is that just something that I made up?
No, this was actually harder, but also more fun. Because the point with recording a Christmas album, in my opinion, is that it needs to sound like Christmas. You need to have the Christmas feeling to it. There's a lot of, I don't want to say anything bad about anyone here, but there's a lot of bands who've done Christmas covers. And yeah, you can hear that there are Christmas songs, but they don't sound very Christmassy. No band have done that, what I've heard. So I really wanted this song to sound like Christmas. You should listen to it and hear right away, this sounds like Christmas. This could be a Christmas movie, or this is a Christmas song in heavy metal, even though we wrote it ourselves. So I watched a lot of movies, listened to a lot of soundtrack, like the soundtrack to A Christmas Carol, Home Alone, The Polar Express, that kind of soundtrack. Listening to it and try to find out what the key elements are to make a song sound like a Christmas song. Certain instruments, how you build up the melody, and then orchestration. And I don't know, in my opinion, if I can be a little bit proud, I believe I managed to do that. And I'm very, very happy of the result. So it was harder to be because I had a goal, but it was also more fun.
Yeah, that actually goes quite well with my next question. So even without kind of all these references to other Christmas songs, I think the album indeed sounds very Christmassy. But what do you think makes a Christmas song? Like, what elements have to be in there?
It does fit well, my answer to this question. Okay. What I discovered is needed in a Christmas song is, of course, sleigh bell, but also glockenspiel and some tumbler bells. Bells are very important. Ding, 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 ding. You hear right away, okay, that's a Christmas melody. But also in the orchestration, you have a lot of, the certain way the harmony goes, how it changes. changes key. It's like the same scale, but it goes off in just one place. And you use half notes, like da 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 da. You know, those kind of notes that sounds off until you listen to the song completely. You hear that, okay, this sounds very Christmassy. So that's what I discovered. What I need to do to make it sound Christmassy, to know where to change the melody, to change the chord. A good example is "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" when it comes to this part. Hark the herald angels sing, da 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 da. Then they go off the scale, into a different chord that doesn't really exist. So that's a good example. And then when I realized, okay, so that chord changes to that chord, and when I play that, it sounds like that song, and that's a Christmas song. All right, there we go. So I can use that without stealing.
Yeah. So did you really analyze all the existing Christmas song in much depth before starting this as well?
Some of them, yes. But I mean, this Santa Claus is coming to town, or All I Want for Christmas is You. You know, these songs have not really so much in common, except that they're singing about Christmas or Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But most of these songs actually have sleigh bell in it. And some songs have this have the tumbler bell. Other songs have glockenspiel, and in some songs, even this, you know, the change of the chord that I talked about, they use that. Mariah Carey used that in her song. Frank Sinatra used that in his song. So yeah, I did a little bit, but then I realized that I cannot use any of these songs, because all of these songs that we used in the album are public domain. So the newest one, I think, was from the 1800s something. Otherwise, it goes back all the way to the 1500s for the melodies.
Mm.
So we used 2 Swedish songs. In the second song, we used 2 Swedish songs as the main melody, and one of them is so old that no one knows who wrote it.
Now, you mentioned that the whole process was also a little bit harder maybe than writing a normal album. What was the thing that you underestimated maybe the most while creating this?
I thought it would be easy to put in, to make a concept album is something I've done many times, and I love to do it because you have a goal. You know what you're reaching. It's not like you don't know what you're gonna do, but you know what you need to do. So it's easier to find out how to end it or how to reach the goal, to find, to make a story sound. You need the music to sound like the story. So that was not the hard part, but the hard part was to make it sound like Christmas. To add in tiny bits of Christmas melodies here and there, to make it sound Christmassy with all these different instruments and the sound, and of course to arrange the orchestration, because it's far more advanced than I've ever worked with before, with any Majestica or Rainfield song. It has been a real challenge, really. But I've been listening to a lot of songs, as I said, and analyzing how does the orchestration do. Okay, you have the cello playing like that, while the melody goes like that, and then they change. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So I think, to make it sound like Christmas was the hardest part, to fit all of these melodies in, because it needs to fit with the rhythm, it needs to fit with the style, it needs to fit where it comes. Like, for example, "Oh Come All You Faithful," we used as a chorus in the first song, A Christmas Story, but we have it in minor instead of major. And there was like, until I realized that I can do that, it took a long time.
Is there anything out of this process that you learned that you will definitely take with you when you make a new album, which is probably not Christmas related?
Well, I did learn a lot on how to arrange orchestration, for sure. Also choirs. We've been working a lot with choirs. I learned a lot there as well. But also discovered new ways to write songs. Because before I usually like started from the beginning and then go to the verse, chorus, solo. But with this, I actually did like, okay, this can work as a chorus. Now I need to work my way to the chorus. And then when I did that, it's like, maybe I can change the intro. So I go back. And then when I changed the intro, I realized this is a better chorus. So then I use the intro as a chorus instead. I remove the chorus completely and remake it. So that's a completely new way for me to work. But it worked fine, really. It was fun. It's fun when you realize that you're proud of something. You're satisfied with the chorus, but then you do an intro and you realize this is a better chorus than the one I have. And you realize, oh shit, the song just turned better. That's a great feeling, really, when you make a painting and then you add the color blue and you realize, holy shit, it's so much better in blue. Wow, why didn't I do that? That feeling.
Considering, you wanted to sound this like a musical, is that something that you might want to do again with, just another story maybe, or a story that you would create on your own or something like that?
Definitely, absolutely. I mean, I would not be devastated if we would be able to do this again next year. Another story, same concept, but another story, and we do it, with orchestration and like a musical version. So people know that if they want to have a power metal, heavy metal Christmas album that sounds like Christmas, they can get that. They can count on us to deliver that. But that's also, I mean, I cannot do that my entire life. At some point, 20 years and I released 20 Christmas albums. Eventually, I'm gonna run out of Christmas melodies to use.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, but I'm hoping to do this again, and I would love to do it next year again. Who knows? Maybe I already started working on that.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I have actually started work on the next Christmas album. But if that will be released next year or the year after that, we will see.
Yeah. So obviously, a Christmas album is not something that you can play live during summer, you can maybe if you really want to and are very dedicated. But would you ever consider having like a special Christmas show to play these songs live?
Yes, we have. And we're actually planning to do that next year, if it's possible. But, if the corona goes away and we can start touring again, that also means that Sabaton will start touring. So, and that's a tricky situation with Majestica since I cannot tour with two bands at the same time.
Yes.
So, but yeah, of course we have an idea of how we can do this live, touring, maybe as a musical, or we play the songs and we have actors on stage. Anything is possible.
All right. Well, even though plans are continuously changing, do you guys have any plans for 2021 or are just going to wait off and see what happens?
It's both actually, because we do have plans, but unfortunately we do need to wait out, see what happens. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, without sounding too negative, we are booked for Grasspop next year. Huge festival, main stage, would be awesome, but it also means that there would be 60,000 people there, and that's like, what is it? It's 6.5 months away. In Sweden, we have an 8 people limit. 8 people are allowed to be at one place at the same time. So to go from 8 to 60,000 in 6 months, I'm not sure that will happen. Of course, that's in Belgium. It's not in Sweden, but still, I don't think the summer festivals are gonna be any better, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Anywho, I think I'm through my questions and our time is almost up. Do you have any last words you want to share with people watching this, your fans?
well, I would like to say, of course, thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening to this album. I really hope you will enjoy this special Christmas gift from Majestica to you. And if you don't know the story about Ebenezer Scrooge, this is a great way to get to know the story. Otherwise, watch a movie. I would recommend the one with Jim Carrey or Bill Murray. Either one is fine. But the Jim Carrey version is the main inspiration for this album. So I can really recommend to see that movie. And I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope that next year will be so much better so we can start touring. And most of all, I hope that we can come and deliver this Christmas show to you wherever you are. That would be fantastic if it's possible. So thank you and Merry Christmas.